This is perhaps one of the most important videos I've ever made for gamers that are considering buying a TV in the 55-inch, 65-inch, and next year 77-inch range. This is very important. It is something that should factor into your long-term plans, that if you want the best gaming TV possible and you're within this budget range, the S95B has to be on the top of your list. This is a S95B gaming review. I'll be talking about why you want the S95B. I'm going to show you settings for your S95B if you're an S95B owner. I will also show you comparisons with other top TVs from this year. So this is a really important video that you guys really should listen to if you're buying in the 55-inch, 65-inch, and of course next year 77-inch range. Before I begin, I have to remind you that the S95B purchase links are in the description below. So if you are buying the S95B, please use my links below to do so. It will help out the channel. Thank you guys so much. All right, now I promise you I will not be the only one that says this over the next year, 2, 3. You are going to hear the exact same thing out of a lot of people's mouths. If you're within the budget range of the S95B, you need to consider the WRGB OLED as dead. It's not going to compete with a QD OLED. It's just not. It's old technology, and this is the new technology that you need to be looking towards if you're a gamer. I'm telling you guys, I've never seen a gaming TV quite like the S95B. In your head, I want you to think of the best gaming TV that you can build using only last year's TVs. For me personally, I would take the C1 with its perfect contrast ratio, the self-lit pixels. I would also take the low input lag and the great response time that TV has. I would also take the A80J's upscaling for Nintendo Switch titles and other low resolution games. I would take some of the QN90A's brightness, and I would also take the quantum dot filter and I would apply that to a new TV. But I'd have to make sure some stuff was gone as well, like dirty screen effect. I wouldn't want that on my TV. Pink tint from the OLEDs, I wouldn't want that on my TV. And by the way, can we add something that we've never had in any of these other TVs, like higher color gamut and higher color volume? What we just did was we built the S95B. You understand that, right? We just built the S95B. And that is why I say this is definitively the best gaming TV that you can buy on the market right now. That is not an overreaction. That is not exaggeration. There is not a gaming TV that is better than the S95B. Shut your mouth if you have not seen the S95B. Go play it and then tell me that I'm wrong. There is no argument this year. Last year you had an argument when you played darker games. You know, the LG C1 made more sense for you. If you're somebody who plays brighter, more colorful games, well then you might like the QN90A a little bit better. So this year though, there's not really an argument to be had because it's not worth making the sacrifice for just a tiny bit of brightness increase. Now, that's not to say there's not going to be a game that pushes the limits, but I'm telling you guys, the S95B held its own against the QN90B. And then against the other OLEDs, you know, it was a clean victory. There was not like a moment where you were like, yeah, actually the C2 looks better. No, it never did. And the same thing with the A80J, never did. So let's talk about the core strengths of the S95B for gaming. What I love about it. So I have to start here. I have to start where we are going to kind of separate it from what the A95K could be, because I do think the A95K will end up being a better TV overall, but it won't have the gaming features. And one of the best gaming features, in my opinion, this year is exclusive to Samsung TVs like the S95B, and that is the game settings customization, the game modes that are selectable within the game mode itself. So you have your different genres that you can pick from and customize yourself. And I love it because they're fully customizable. The expert settings that you want to do, everything in that expert settings menu is customizable. So I'm somebody who likes to play different games in different color temperatures and different games in different color spaces. To be honest with you, I use normal and native sometimes in those more bright, colorful games, especially if that game is not really realistic. So I do have those options now. And I love that about the Samsung TVs. Now, another thing that is exclusive to Samsung TVs like the S95B is Game Motion Plus. And those of you that have ever used this on the LCD TVs, man, I'm telling you, it's way better with the OLED TVs. The motion is so much smoother, and Game Motion Plus is sort of a lifesaver for me for certain titles. Now, there's a couple of Nintendo Switch games that have some frame pacing issues in 30 frames per second, and Game Motion Plus will help with this, and for me, it solves it. And people will love or hate Game Motion Plus if you use it. I personally think it's awesome, especially games that you want to lock to 30 frames per second so you can get the highest fidelity out of it. Some games allow you to do that, but now you don't have to suffer by doing it. So that's all awesome. I have to say the first thing that stuck out to me with the QD OLED when I saw it in the game mode was the fact that these self-lit pixels were so bright, and it competes with the QN90B when it is side by side in most games. I haven't seen too many games where the QN90B was significantly brighter, and when it's next to the LG C2 and the A80J, it's definitely brighter than those by a big margin, and I have to say that is the most impressive thing. And then of course the color. Now, love or hate the color that comes with the S95B, for some people it will be very inaccurate in filmmaker mode, and there's no doubt about it, filmmaker mode should probably be a little bit more accurate out of the box, but that's a story for another day. But for gamers, I think a lot of them don't really care about color accuracy. I know personally I don't. And most of these games aren't very color accurate to begin with. Personally, I don't care if a TV is color accurate or not. I just think it looks really freaking awesome in game mode. Now let's talk about how I set up my S95B for HDR calibration. This is something that you can probably change if you feel like the game gets blown out somewhere. I haven't seen that yet. It's definitely a possibility that we might need to lower this target, but right now I'm targeting 1500 nits. So in the PS5 game menu for the HDR calibration, you want to make sure that black floor is set to 0, of course, and for the other two options, you want to make sure you target 18 clicks. These are going to be your target for the PS5. Now moving on to the Xbox calibration screen, we're going to go for 24 clicks, which is going to be 1500 nits. A little tip, if you guys are trying to see what you're targeting, go ahead and double click the shoulder buttons or the trigger buttons, and you will be able to bring up this display, and you can see if it's at 1500 nits after 24 clicks, which it will be. But I'm just saying, if you want to go lower than that, you can, and you can see what you're actually targeting. Now, it's important to note that there's going to be a ton of games where these calibration settings don't actually do anything in the games, and there's going to be just a select few games that it actually will apply to. But I would say more often than not, these probably won't be affecting your games. But I still suggest putting on the game HDR setting in the S95B menu. You're going to want to do that. It does a really good job of making HDR just look so much better in game mode. So make sure you do that. Alright, well, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Also, make sure you do check out the rest of the channel. I have side-by-sides up of the S95B for everything. Pretty much. It's just going to be really cool. We're going to blow out this coverage of the S95B because it is the greatest TV that I've ever seen. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.